Welcome back. In this session, we will discuss co-curricular activities and action research in science. Co-curricular activities are an integral part of curriculum which provides educational activities to the students and thereby help in broadening their experiences. Co-curricular activities can be defined as the activities that enhance and enrich the regular curriculum during the normal school hours. All co-curricular activities are organized with a specific purpose which varies according to the nature and form of such activities. Science is facts, just as houses are made of stones, so is science made of facts. But a pile of stones are not a house, and a collection of facts is not necessarily science. Science is not generated in classrooms through theories and problems, but it should be the way of one's learning and living. Co-curricular activities contribute much to this. Science Club. Science Club forms the backbone of school-sponsored co-curricular activities in science. Learning by doing and learning by living are the two essentials of learning science. Children are interested in making things, breaking things and handling things, but the curriculum does not satisfy this natural urge. In classrooms, the things dealt in science are in controlled environment, so opportunity for self-expression in the minds of the learners is almost or partially controlled in these learning environments. A formal organization which caters for the inculcation of scientific attitude in school level is the Science Club. Objectives of Science Club: to inculcate scientific attitude and provide opportunities for training in scientific method, to develop habits of exploration and to develop creative and inventive faculties, to develop interest in the scientific hobbies, to widen the outlook of students and to enable them to apply their knowledge of science in certain life situations, to develop children a sense of healthy competition for a better cause, to keep students in touch with the recent advancements of science and their effect on human life, to make students in particular and public in general science-minded, to encourage peoples to take cooperative enterprise and initiative in learning science and to develop habits of neat and helpful living. Organization: every science club should have constitution and every member should strictly abide by it. The head of the institution should be the patron of the club and the teacher in charge the sponsor. The patron extends all types of facilities and cooperation for the successful execution of the club. The sponsor is just an advisor and helps in making the club self-conducting. He guides and guards the members and does not dictate. It is on him that the club can be kept in its high pitch of activity and interest. For this, he should be intellectually mature and educationally well informed. There should be an executive body selected from among the students consisting of a president, secretary, treasurer, librarian, publicity officer and representatives. The activities of the club should be taken up by the students themselves. There should be regular meetings, discussions, planning and feedback, etc. Activities of the Science Club: first, organizing lectures, debates, seminars, symposia, holding science exhibitions and fairs, celebrating birthdays of eminent scientists, participating in science fairs, conducting programs of scientific interest, arranging visits to places of scientific interest, developing school garden, improvising and preparing handmade apparatus, collection of specimens and arranging them in the museum, general reading of the scientific literature, rendering school services in health and sanitation, preparing albums and conducting projects, publishing school science magazine and maintaining a science bulletin board, organizing programs like Nature Walk, Eco Club, etc. Science fairs and exhibitions. Science fair is purely an educative activity carried out in a systematic manner entirely for the advancement of science. Science fairs and exhibitions provide an opportunity for the display of valuable work done in the science club by the students and sponsors. Every school should organize a science fair at least once a year. This should include the exhibits of the students as well as demonstrations, talks by experts, film shows on scientific topics, debates and declamations, music shows, scientific plays, etc. Purposes: to focus attention on science experiences in school, to stimulate scientific temper in all people, to stimulate a greater interest in scientific investigation over and above the routine classwork, to provide stimulation for scientific hobby pursuits, to offer an opportunity for display of scientific talent through exhibits and demonstrations, to recognize and commend youthful talent, to provide constructive suggestion for teachers and pupils of science. Values of science fair. Science fairs provide an excellent method of sharing the science projects of individuals, small groups or entire classes with other students within the school, other schools in a community, parents and other members of the community. Science fairs can be a motivating force for the individual projects as well as for classwork. It utilizes the time of youth in a constructive way. It provides a wonderful opportunity for discovering and encouraging science talent. Organizing of science fair. Financing. It is essential that sufficient funds should be arranged for meeting the expenses related to the fair. These funds can be raised from collections, advertisements or through some other means. Sponsorship. Sponsorship to be made in science fairs. Local newspapers should be selected as a sponsor for the conducive and congenial performance of science fair. Committees. Various committees should be constituted for conducting the fair in a proper manner. The names of the committees include Honorary or Advisory Committee, General Management Committee, Executive Committee, Reception Committee, Publication Committee, Clerical Record Committee, Judging Committee, Student Aid Committee, Awards Committee, Program Committee, Supervisory Committee. Experimental science projects or investigatory science projects. Normally, people demonstrate concepts and application of theories through illustrations using charts or graphs, and they call these as projects. But in actual sense, these are not projects, or in strict sense we say investigatory projects. A project is any purposeful activity, a project which involves experiments, investigations, discovery and original finding is an investigatory or experimental science project. Working on investigatory projects helps students to get acquaintance and training in the project method, which involves all the steps of scientific method. The following are the steps of investigatory projects. Problem. What does a student want to know? Hypothesis. Formation of probable solutions to the problem. Testing the hypothesis by experiment. Students have to test the hypothesis and decide whether solutions hypothesized are valid and acceptable. Interpretation of data. What are the details that could be observed when the student tested the hypothesis? Conclusion. What is the result of the experiment? Is the problem solved? Investigatory science projects can be carried out as a science club activity. Investigatory projects helps in stimulating interest, satisfying curiosity, developing scientific attitude, critical thinking. This will contribute to develop investigatory skills, risk-taking behavior and self-confidence. Field trips and study tours. Field trip and excursion are interchangeably used in educational literature, but in strict sense they are different. An excursion is a school journey involving any organized travel made by teachers and students primarily with an educational motive in mind. Field trips are organized visits of teachers and students to immediate or distant places to enrich learning experiences and to further instructional purposes of regular classroom activities. The field trip is distinguished by its concentration on the learning particular aspects. Hence, its success is judged by the fulfillment of predetermined goals. Education is not confined to classroom teaching. A life in the classroom can cover only a small part of our total life. If learning is to result in the total development of the learners, we must go beyond our school walls into the community as students are working participants. The chief purpose of the field trip is to give students first-hand experience that cannot be had in the classroom. Students can see, hear and experience things. Hence, field trip is an outdoor lesson in action. Many objects and phenomena can be studied best in their natural setting. Field trip provide opportunity for learning through the use of many techniques other than reading and speaking. Field trip stimulates interest and increase appreciation, as this correlates learning in the classroom with the community. It also develops better social awareness and social skills in pupils. Organization of field trip. The 5 steps in the conduct of field trip are: first, planning; second, preparation; third, execution; next, follow-up; and the last, evaluation. Planning. Planning is the initial step which is determining the future course of action. The proposed site should be surveyed well in advance. Date and time should be decided. Mode of travelling should be booked at the earliest. Expected expense per student should be calculated. Preparation. The aim of visit should be made clear to the pupil. Places of scientific interest, duties and responsibilities of each pupil should be made definite. Permission of the places to be visited should be secured well in advance. Permission of parents for the field trip should be obtained before commencement of the program. Execution. This step is concerned with the execution of the plan, that is, undertaking the activity, completing and searching the results. If any unavoidable things may happen, it is necessary to collect telephone numbers of school personnel to inform them at the earliest. Here, the teacher should act as a guide. Follow-up. Follow-up work will ascertain about the planning and organization aspect of the field trip. Pupils may be asked to write a report, display materials collected during field trip. Follow-up will be useful in reviewing the role of each member. Evaluation. It is an essential and important stage in a field trip. After the field trip, pupils must review their work and try to see what mistake they have committed in execution. This is a stage of self-criticism by the pupils which helps the teacher to improve the future planning effectively. Advantages of trips and excursion. Gives first-hand experiences. Next, supplements and enriches classroom teaching. Third, field trips are generally much more closely related to the out-of-school experience of young people than are the experiences gained in the classroom. Field trips tend to be much more meaningful and permit easier transfer of learning to the solution of real-life problems. Creates spirit of scientific enquiry. Gives training in observation. Field trip should be for review and drill. Stimulates interest in nature and learning. Correlates the school life with the outside world. Provides opportunity for utilizing community resources. Gives relief from routine classwork. Study tours. Long trips, particularly those requiring detailed planning and preparation, are normally tours. Here we normally have 2 or more days journey to different places of interest. The places to be visited should be selected with care so that the tour provides to be really educational as well as memorable to students. A group of students should be entrusted with the responsibility to compile relevant information about the places to be visited, like historical monuments, educational and cultural institutions. 1 or 2 discussions must be organized on the visit sites before the commencement of the journey. It should be made clear to the students that they should have to prepare a report on the tour, for which they should take notes on the important observations. The study tour will provide an opportunity to the students for community living which is indeed a powerful means for education, entertainment, and personality development. Science Museum. Science Museum contain professional exhibits and displays and also perform a wide variety of service. To be of the greatest educational value, objects of Science Museum must be available for students to touch, examine, investigate, and study. First-hand experiences with things increase students' desire to learn and make real learning more permanent. Functions of Science Museum. First, to display for public collections of interesting and instructional materials. Second, to provide exhibits to schools on various educational objects. Third, to provide free or nominal cost information in the form of collections, bulletins, newsletters, colored slides, and sometimes motion pictures. And next, to conduct classes and field trips and to give lectures to both children and adults in various cultural areas. Next, to train teachers in the effective utilization of museum tours and materials. To conduct educational tours for school pupils through sections of the museum appropriate to the subjects under study. Advantages of Science Museum. Students get first-hand experience. Outside world comes into the school. Students develop skills in observation, construction, drawing, and experimentation. Widens the depth of knowledge. Students develop inspirational value. Action research. Action research is either research initiated to solve an immediate problem or a reflective process of progressive problem solving led by individuals working with others in teams or as part of a community of practice to improve the way they address issues and solve problems. There are two types of action research: participatory action research and practical action research. Action research involves actively participating in a change situation, often via an existing organization, while simultaneously conducting research. Action research can also be undertaken by larger organizations or institutions, assisted or guided by professional researchers, with the aim of improving their strategies, practices, and knowledge of the environments within which they practice. As designers and stakeholders, researchers work with others to propose a new course of action to help their community improve its work practices. Stephen Curry in 1953 defined action research as the process through which practitioners study their problems scientifically in order to guide, correct, and evaluate their decisions and actions in the educational setting, that is, school. The practitioners are the teachers and his other colleagues who work to improve instruction. Thus, action research is very much a needed component for the quality education and is not separate activity beyond his duties. Action research is a natural part of teaching. Teachers are continually observing students, collecting data, and changing practices to improve student learning and the classroom and school environment. Action research provides a framework that guides the energies of teachers toward a better understanding of why, when, and how students become better learners. Characteristics of action research. Action research has the following characteristics. First, it enhances the competencies of the practitioners. Action research enables them to have a clear vision of the problematic situation, which is helpful in identifying ways and means to tackle the problem. It is collaborative, that is, everyone's view is taken as a contribution in understanding the situation. Moreover, if a problem is faced by a practitioner in a particular situation, say a school, action research can be collaborative, where practitioners facing similar problems in nearby schools can collaborate to find solutions of a problem. Action research seeks to understand particular complex social situations, whether it is a class, school, or community. It requires reflective critique, which is a process of becoming aware of our own perceptual biases and own practices. Action research seeks to improve the quality of human relationships. It is a systematic and scientific process, but not very rigorous. Action research allows us to identify remedial measures for improvement. It is specific in nature, that is, specific to a particular class, school or situation. Therefore, results cannot be generalized. Action research helps a teacher to bring about the desired changes on specific aspects of their curriculum and in their transactional strategies. It helps in the professional development of the teachers by enabling them to engage in intellectual pursuits and become continuous learners. Action research helps in systems planning and restructuring. For example, if a primary teacher finds that his or her class, the students are not able to concentrate, the teacher starts finding the reasons for the same. After analyzing the situation, the teacher finds that the classroom window is open towards the playground, and hence most of the children often observe the other children playing in the playground. So, they are not able to concentrate in their studies in the class. Now, what do you think a teacher should do? Well, in such a case, a teacher can change the seating plan of the classroom. This is the way a teacher gets involved in the restructuring the class. Action research is a small scale intervention. Its objective is to bring out changes in the functioning of the practitioner himself or herself. It may or may not have applicability for others. Action research is a narrowly focused research undertaken by teachers and other practitioners in a given specific situation and context. Contextual nature is an important characteristic of action research. For example, a teacher of a particular school may face a particular problem in the form errors committed by third grade students' multiplication in a school, but the same problem may not be observed by him or her in other schools. Action research teachers make use of quantitative and qualitative methodologies to know their students well, interact with them, observe them and collect relevant data for analysis and interpretation. 5 phases of action research: selecting an area or focus, identifying an area of interest, focus on students, look at both immediate and cumulative effects. Second one, collecting data, collect existing archival data, use additional multiple data sources, collect data regularly, promote collective ownership of data, monitor data collection. Third, organizing data, count instances, events and artifacts, display data in tables and charts, arrange data by classroom, grade level and school, organize for analysis. Fourth one, analyzing and interpreting data, analyze and question the data as a professional collective, decide what can be celebrated and what needs attention, determine priority areas for action. Last, studying the professional literature, identify professional literature that relates to or matches the interest, gather research reports, research synthesis, articles, videotapes, etc. Analyze and interpret these materials for understanding and action. Determine the most promising actions. Taking action. Combine data analysis with that from professional literature. Select best options for action. Craft short and long-term action plan. Implement some actions immediately. Assess implementation of selected actions. Major steps in action research. First, identification of the problem area and developing a focus. Next, formulating a problem. Next, stating the research questions and development of propositions. Next, data collection. Next, analysis and interpretation of data. Next, discussions and evaluating actions. Uses of action research. Action research can be a worthwhile pursuit for the educators for a number of reasons. Foremost among these is simply the desire to know more. Good teachers are, after all, themselves students and often look for ways to update their existing knowledge. Let us discuss some benefits of action research. First, professional development. Action research influences thinking skills, level of efficacy, willingness to share and communicate, and attitudes towards the process of change. Through action research, teachers learn about themselves, their students, their colleagues, and can determine ways to continually improve. Second, interactions and sharing of thought. Through action research, the teachers team up together that allows them to talk with others about teaching and teaching strategies during their discussions. The teachers describe their own teaching styles and strategies and share their thoughts with others, which in turn develops a stronger relationships. It is through action research we see increased sharing and collaboration across departments, disciplines, grade levels, and schools. Third, potential to impact school change. Most researchers are often criticized that run away from the ground realities. When teachers conduct action research, they look at questions that mostly address school and district contexts and concerns. This develops better communication and sharing among the teachers, and thus teachers learn from their own and others' experiences, which can create a positive impact on the school culture. Reflect on practice. Action research provides a chance to practitioners to evaluate themselves in schools in an informal manner. It is conducted to investigate what effects their teaching have on the students' learning, how they could work better with other teachers, on the whole, how they can work to change the whole school for the better. Improved communications. Teamwork within the school or district brings individuals together for a shared purpose. Educators involved in action research become more flexible in their thinking and more open to new ideas. Studies by Little in 1981 suggest that interactions and sharing of information bring positive changes in patterns of collegiality, communication, and networking. The activities satisfying the instincts and urges of children and molding them into a good personality type should be very important in today's environment. The activities in science should cater to the inculcation of scientific attitude, and people should perceive science as a joyful subject in the way that things you want to learn should be not with conscious efforts but with a pleasant hobby and not a burden on him. In this module, we have discussed various co-curricular activities in science like science club, science fairs and exhibitions, field trips and study tours, science museums, investigatory science projects, and immediate research leading to the solutions of day-to-day problems. Before we move to the next session, please try to answer the following questions. Prepare an evaluation sheet for assessing the science exhibition conducted in your school. Conduct an action research on your students related to a pedagogical problem. Arrange a study tour to a scientifically important place in your locality. Arrange a seminar in science in the class for popularizing scientific outlook. Prepare a science show with simple, interesting experiments and perform it before other students of the college, to be done in groups. Now let us see the books for the reference. Science Education, Theoretical Basis of Teaching and Pedagogical Analysis, written by T.K. Matthew and Molly Cutie, published by Rainbow Publishers, Thiruvananthapuram. Mobile Learning, Its Implication in Education and Training, an article published in University News, written by Mishra J. New UNESCO Sourcebook for Science Teaching, published by University Press. Innovative Science Teaching for Physical Science Teachers, written by Radha Mohan, published by Prentice Hall of India Private Limited, New Delhi. Educational Technology, written by V.K. Rao, published by APH Publishing Corporation, New Delhi. Hope you have enjoyed this session. We will meet in a new session. Till then, bye.